Oh, okay, okay. Is there any possibility to raise that screen up, or is that as high as it go? That's it? Okay. Greetings, fam. I thank y'all for the pleasure and honor to come here and honor my beloved brother. I ain't gonna really worry about the bio right now, but basically this presentation is a combination of 4 different lectures, because it's always hard to try to put 20, 30 years of information into an hour presentation, and you always want to try to give as much as you can. Go to the next slide. And it's next to impossible at the end of the day. But I just want to talk right quick about how blessed that I have been, because I've had the opportunity as a kid. I always had this thought in my mind that, everything that I was told was a lie, because I was always called a rebel, because I always questioned. And because you question, a lot of times when elders can't answer those questions, you piss them off, you make them angry, and you get your lips pinched. I started reading the Bible as a result of my great aunt, who was saved and sanctified and wanted to save my soul. Me and my siblings sat in the back room with her, studying from the Bible. And at 4 and 5, I was reading passages from the Bible. And I made a mistake and said, "Auntie, that's not true." And I looked up and I was shaking my head coming out the corner, because Auntie said I had committed blasphemy. So as a result of Auntie attempting to save my soul and all these other experiences I had, because my spirit would not let me drink the Kool-Aid called Christianity. So I was raised in a household of Masons. My uncle, who was my Uncle Daddy, and 4 cousins, all Masons, as a Shriner. So I was, from the Bible, I ended up receiving his Bible, which of course had the Masonic symbol on it. And after I got to a certain point, I said, "Unc, I'm not becoming a Mason, I'm not joining the Shriners, I'm not feeling it. I don't think that's the answer." Lo and behold, a high school friend of mine, I'm down at her house with her mom, and we sitting at the table kicking it, and I'm running my mouth about all the KEMETIC stuff that I done studied and researched, and how the Bible and the Book of the Dead is pretty much the same darn old thing. Lo and behold, her dad is out in the backyard listening, comes and talks to me and say, "Hey, you familiar with Dr. Ben?" I said, "Yeah, I heard that name." He said, "Well, listen, I'm one of Dr. Ben's students. We got an organization called The Craft, and I think you'd be an interesting fellow to come along and check us out." And I was like, hot damn. I found what I was looking for. And I'm sure a lot of y'all that are here today are here because you've been seeking something. You've been seeking something called truth, because you knew somewhere inside of you that there was more to the story that you've been told. There was more to this physical makeup than you had yet to be taught. That's right. And somehow you stumbled upon somebody named Ahati Kalindi EE. And right now I need y'all to work with me and summon his name 3 times. Ahati Kalindi EE. 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 He is here, he is present, so let it be. He is here, he is present, so let it be. Thank you. The ancestors said in KEMETIC, when you speak the name, they live. When you speak their name, they continue to live. And his name is going to be spoken for a long time. Because I'm up in Highland Park right now trying to get his name put on one of them street signs. I figured we can put all these preachers' names on the sign, we can give my brother the same recognition. And it's going to get done. But I found Dr. Ben, and it was tears of joy, because I was seeking the truth. And I'm up and down the Nile, Ethiopia, Egypt, Sudan, Merowe, having a ball. And 97, I'm sitting there, where's that picture at? In the Sudan, and I'm sitting up against the pyramid, and I'm like, I'm real tired of romancing the stone. And I told the brother, I said, listen, I didn't come here to talk about what their ancestors did. I need to know how the hell they did it so I can repeat it. That's what I'm looking for. I had a couple of questions to Dr. Ben, because every time I expose something that I discovered to the craft, bro, go sit down. You've been out in the sun too long. You're delusional. Because the first thing I told him is that Imhotep was not the founder of Freemasonry. Maybe Imhotep's mother. Get out of here. It's interesting that a lot of the things that I experienced through Christianity, when I got with the craft, because I'm simply trying to expose them to what I'm discovering, what I'm awakening and becoming aware of. So they said, bro, go get in the truck. You've been in the sun too long. You're dizzy. So we usually, after we come from one of the excavations, we go back to the hotel. There's a 2-hour lecture with Doc. So I'll put my hand up and say, Doc, question. Is it possible that the female is the founder of Freemasonry? He said, yes, young Jedi, you're correct. And the rest of the craft was sour as shit, pardon my English. They were sour. Because what I recognize is that just like the male mentality in Christianity, when we call ourselves looking for something different, a lot of us take that same mentality into that next order. So I found out that a bunch of them was formerly Christians who now, ratting Osiris's behind. But they were not paying attention to what was in front of them. They were there, but they could not see because their eyes were not looking for it. And that's all it is. You only find what you're seeking for. Make sure you got the right thing in mind when you're seeking. So after running up and down the Nile with Doc and constantly butting heads with the craft, I told him something else when we were in Egypt. I said, y'all don't know what y'all looking at, but that pyramid of Khufu, that's a big vagina. That's all it is. It's an upside down vagina. And Doc verified again. So these brothers then got real angry because I'm rubbing them the wrong way, because they simply brought that Christian male mentality into the craft and to the study of Kemet. But long story short, 97, I said, really, I'm tired of romancing this stone. Moving forward, I get back to Detroit. I went to synagogue, went and got a bunch of my material that I was selling, and set up at the Cobo Hall at the ASCAT convention. Now, at that point in time, I had known Kalindi as a lawmaster, because I met Brother Kamal, went over to the house in the basement teaching Kalindi teaching law class. I was in the middle of learning how to sue Customs and the IRS for destroying my business. And Ahati passed me that manual, and I promise you today, I have sat with almost 60 attorneys trying to teach them what they went to law school and paid not to learn, because they don't know. They haven't taught something called the Administrative Procedure Act, because they don't know what law is. The only law in this land, it's called the Constitution of the United States of the Americas. That is the law. Everything outside of that is irrelevant in my reality, because statutes, codes, and ordinances are only applicable to corporations. Y'all look that up later on. But long story short, I'm at the ASCAT convention, walk in the room, and there Ahati is doing a mushroom presentation. All these Kemetic scholars are there. And of course, they got him on last. And if you know Kalindi, it's a done deal. Well, at that point, never asked to come to the ASCAT convention again. Because what was discovered is, those were a bunch of gatekeepers at the end of the day. They were not trying to open your minds. They were not trying to resurrect you. They were not trying to take you up into the science or down into the subterranean chamber and show you truth. They were simply feeding you tidbits just to hold your interest. They were not trying to open your minds. They were not trying to help you find yourself. Next slide. I'm gonna run through a lot of these, but this was the ASCAT convention at the Cobo Hall, and my world was rocked. So after running up and down the Nile 30 years with Doc and the craft, I was blessed because the journey, that particular journey, helped me to unravel, to be there physically to see. Because when I tell you at every point in time, at every cataract, it was like I had stepped into or activated a particular chakra at the Kundalini, and something was revealed. And every time I came back to share this information with my brothers, I got scorned. I got mocked. But one thing I didn't get is denied. Because everything I explained to Doc that I saw, he verified. Get into Meraway, and I'm sitting up against the pyramid. Screen comes on. The Candace Queens as the engineers, architects, and founders of Meraway. And some of y'all don't know this, but the reason why the Europeans never came that far up to conquer, because they had already sent message. They had already sent message. If you come here, no one's going to leave alive. That's how bad they were. This is a lot of the history you don't know about because it ain't in books. It's in archives. It's in archives. I've been telling people for 30 years, all this stuff y'all been taught is nothing but a lie. Don't believe me. Do your own research. Next slide. So I have been fortunate enough to have the best of both worlds. I had Doc studying under Doc, training under Doc for the KEMETIC history. And then I found the second grandmaster who gave me what I was ultimately looking for. The science of spiritual awakening. Not to find no God, because ain't no God to find. Ain't no God to find. You're only trying to discover the ultimate of who and what you are. You're not learning anything, you're remembering. You already know everything. You've just been made to believe you've been dumbed down. Next slide. But back up right quick. This has been one of my altered scholars here. This is Frantz Fanon, wrote the book Black Skin, White Mask. Talk about the psychological warfare and how we are turned inside out as a result of our social engineering under this culture. One of my favorite pieces of his book is one of the brothers who left Africa and went to Europe to be educated. He was going for 6 years. When he came back and got off the boat, his grandmother started doing a burial dance right at the boat dock because she said her baby was dead. Her child was gone. The soul that left Africa and went to Europe, the body came back, but the soul was gone. Read the book Soul on Ice, you'll understand. Social engineering is a mother, and we get it coming out the womb. We get it in the womb. But Frantz Fanon helped me understand my struggle, because everywhere I went to travel, I always came home to share this information. Wait a minute, do y'all know the sermon in stone existed 10,000 years before the Bible, and it's still over there on the damn stone? The same one that I read in the book? But Frantz Fanon helps you get an understanding. Cognitive dissonance. And I've caused many people a headache in the past 20 plus years. Because here's the problem. You have a belief system. And when new information is brought that is contrary to what you've been taught to believe, you automatically shut down. You automatically get angry, get hostile. You go through a psychic trauma. And I had my mama tell me one day, if you don't get your ass out of my house, messing with my Jesus, I'm gonna put a bullet in your ass. Get out of here with that. And I understood. Cognitive dissonance. Because you've been told a lie all your life. And once you embrace and believe that lie, you and that lie become one. And I'm like, Miles, you gotta understand what you're doing. You messing with a foundation. You messing with that person's reality. They and that reality are one and the same. You and your belief are one and the same. Don't fool yourself. We holler about what we believe. I had a partner in Miami telling me he done deprogrammed himself, arguing for a whole hour. I say, listen, bro, we don't have to do this. Close your eyes and say Jesus 3 times and tell me what the hell pop up in your head. Prove yourself if you done detached yourself. Close your eyes and say Jesus 3 times. Tell me what you see in your psyche. Because that's what a war is. This ain't no war out here. This is the illusion. They only want one thing, your mind. That's all they need. Because the greatest weapon against my enemy is always his own mind. Can't no bomb, can't no bullet do what? Capturing the enemy's mind. Because you will make him annihilate himself. And I ain't got to tell you how bad the situation is with black on black violence, and you keep hollering about Black Lives Matter. Next slide. Y'all forgive me if I get out of order. But I've been hollering about this boy and his statement for the longest. It ain't his. It's Goebbels. Goebbels a bad boy. He was the master of propaganda. As a matter of fact, 90% of everything America does is off of Goebbels science, social engineering. They got 10,000 think tanks in America that serves one purpose: control the narrative. One purpose. 10,000 think tanks. I found this out when the federal building had a federal library. And I found out all of this research that they do on us, all these experiments that we have no clue of. But 10,000 think tanks designed for one purpose: controlling the narrative. Give you a quick clue about that. Do any of y'all know what was going on before the George Floyd narrative? Well, I pay attention to the media. The number one question around the globe was, is the 5G connected to the COVID? It was constant. Everybody started paying attention and asking the question. Lo and behold, the narrative, George Floyd and Black Lives Matter, global. And the question about the 5G and the COVID left, because they took you somewhere else. I haven't owned a television in damn near 30 years for a reason. For a reason. I don't listen to radio. I don't pay attention to TV, because this here, I'm trying to control the narrative, my own. When I came to the realization of how hard they work to social engineer us, to control everything we think, say, do, and feel, oh, let me shut down those 5 kings. Let me put them in the basement, make their ass be quiet so I can tap into, get in a little bit deeper. But this is the big lie. If you tell a big lie enough and keep repeating it to people, eventually they come to believe it. The lie can be manipulated only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its power to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus, by extension, truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Ahati was an enemy of the state. Dr. Ben was an enemy of the state. I know I am. Shit. Look at my Fed file since 16. Had an FBI file since I was 16. Blew me away. And it wasn't intentional. I was just acting the fool in school, but I didn't know that they were going to report me to the feds. What the hell? I got my eye on them too. Don't worry about it. But long story short, the big lie. We have many. This one is the most powerful, because this one lays the foundation of who the hell what you are. This one, nothing is greater than what you believe. What you believe controls your every action. And I've asked people for 30 years, challenge your beliefs. Challenge what you've been taught to believe and tell me what you find. You're going to find a new reality, I promise you. But you got to want to do the work. Next slide. You have been taught to hate yourself, your ancestors, your culture, your history. But for the most part, most of it's been hidden. You ain't even interested in history. I think for the last 20 years, I have a lecture called Sacredness of the Black Woman. God was and is a black woman. And I have gone to maybe 200 churches and put flyers. And one of the sisters balled it up and spit at me. Nigga, I got Jesus. You can kick rocks with that shit you talking. And I'm simply saying, she's a God. Nigga, I got Jesus. Right on, sis. Next slide. But cognitive dissonance is powerful. It's real. Because your foundation, your belief is your foundation. It's everything you stand on. And last time I went to a church, I was doing, well, an actual, in a congregation, because a preacher friend of mine said his folks was ready. So I went in and I did my piece, the Bible and the Book of the Dead. And all I kept saying, the difference between the two is 10,000 years. Go to the Bible verse, go to the Book of the Dead. Go to the Bible, just lining them up, point for point, piece for piece. Point for point, piece for piece. After 45 minutes into that presentation, the sister jumped up screaming, "What the hell you trying to tell me ain't no Jesus?" Pulled out a 32, cleared the audience. The preacher knocked me on the table on my books while he ran his ass out of the auditorium. And some say, "Boy, talk fast." And my tongue went to running, because they can do that. It's trained for it. I said, "Sis, listen, I'm not trying to tell you what to believe. I'm simply trying to tell you what the book said. It said, you shall know the truth, for the truth shall make you free." All I'm trying to do is share truth. Now, if you got a problem with the truth, you got a problem with your Bible, because it's in there. Don't be mad at me. The book said, you shall know the truth, for the truth shall make you free. I ain't trying to tell you what to believe. I'm simply trying to expand your awareness of what you've been taught to believe and validate if it has belief, because that book says, if it can be believed, it can be proven. I've had 30 preachers stand up and tell me when I quote a verse out the Bible that it ain't in there. "Reverend, can I see your book?" "No, you can't touch my book." So I get a Bible, I open it up and take him to the verse. "Well, son, Satan works in mysterious ways." They always got to come back. They always got to come back. And I've been the devil for at least 30 years at this point. But all I'm doing is sharing the narrative. Christianity before Christ. The 16 crucified saviors. The last one is the dude named Jesus. The last one. 30,000 years of crucifixion, and he's the last one. Next slide. I got to run through this because I know y'all are tired. It's been a long day. But this was the Bible my aunt gave me. This was the one my uncle gave me. And when I started paying attention, after traveling with Dot, going to the stone and seeing that, oh, wait a minute, this is all the same shit. It's all the same. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, it's all the same. Everybody in the Bible is in the Quran. Everybody in the Quran is in the Torah. Everybody in the Torah is in the Bible. But wait a minute. When I ask my Christian folks, how we get to Jesus? Because didn't the Bible come from the Torah? Somebody help me out. Did the Bible come from the Torah? It evolved from the Torah. Well, how come they don't have a Jesus in the damn Torah? How did we pull that one off? Oh, the New Testament. We took the Old Testament, rewrote it, and squoze Jesus in there. But here's the funny part. Most people don't tell you that Moses is also called the Messiah and ascended up to Mount Sinai and is returning after living in synagogue for 2 years and studying with several imams. Muhammad is the Mahdi, and he's in seventh heaven, and he's appointed to return. So wait a minute, all three of these are Christianity then, damn it. You had a Messiah, died, ascended, went to heaven, and coming back. But it's all there. Open them up, read them. I took every damn Bible I could find, 46 Bibles in the library and in the historical section, the ones that you want to see in the historical section. Because they got the one in 1876. All the characters in that King James Version is Egyptian. Every one of them. They're not hiding it. But everything is the same. Old Testament, this is actually your Old Testament. Next slide. I'm going to try to speed this up, y'all, because there's a lot of information. Now, this is when my brothers got mad at me, because they're all Masons. But this is the oldest Masonic symbol on the fucking planet. Do y'all see this? Can y'all see this? Can everybody see this image? This is a woman squatting. The compass. The compass. And when that head popped out, when I popped out of my mama, I came out at a 45-degree angle. Every one of y'all is a Mason. Every one of y'all was initiated. Squaring the circle in the KEMETIC text, it's called squaring the circle. It simply means giving life. And yet we up in these damn lodges mimicking childbirth. What? Why are you trying to do what the woman, that's her job? But when I told them brothers in Sudan that Imhotep was not the founder of Freemasonry, they were mad. And if they could have did what grandma, or what my auntie did and got away with it, they probably would have, but they couldn't get away with it. I'd have spanked that. The Pyramid of Khufu. The Pyramid of Khufu. That's all you doing. We playing with ourselves because all this KEMETIC science, all of this Masonic science is nothing but the creation story of the woman. The very version in the Bible, if you paid attention to what the brother was saying earlier about water, you was an amphibian creature for 9 months. And then you opened up them lungs after you got initiated and came on up out of that world. You died. You died from this realm. 9 months as an amphibian creature, came out and opened up them lungs and born into this realm. Because that's what death is. Death is birth. Because there was a death when that semen left my body. There was a death when that semen found that egg. I have it over here. When that semen found that egg, it was buried and transposed. It was the 1 that became 2, the 2 that became 4, the 4 that became 8, and back to 1. 8 and 1 is 9. All the science that they got you thinking is allegory in the Bible, it's science. And it's the science of procreation. Because as above, so below. You looking for God? There's God. There's God. Next slide. We've been fooled. We've been lied to, lied on, lied about. But it's real simple. See, the thing about us, truth is simple as apple pie. Clinty say it all the time. It's real simple. But you know what? It sounds better when this shit is complicated, don't it? You think it's complicated because it took him 2 hours to say 3 fucking words. All through the Bible, they're talking about the all-seeing eye of God. All through the Bible. But at the same time, they tell you, oh, that's the devil. That's the devil's eye. Okay, well, damn it, I'm the devil. I'll accept it. It's all good. But at the end of the day, they have placed a veil on you, closed your mind, locked you up in a prison. The greatest prison you ever lived in has never been 4 walls and a cell. This is the greatest prison here. This is the worst incarceration that ever existed. To be lost in your own mind. And if you think you ain't, well, some of y'all are arriving, so I'll correct myself. Some of us are arriving. But for the majority, look at our community, look at this world. We're lost in our mind. Because the war that you see, the fighting you see, the death that you see, because of what's going on here. Nothing in the physical can ever happen here until it happens where? This is where the war is going on. The battle between Set, the battle between good and evil. Because what you don't understand is, you've been taught about God and you've been taught about the devil, right? You think it's an accident that the devil is always defined, described as a dark entity, and God is always these white lights, these white angels, etc. Like a little game of association. The bad guy wears what color? Black. The good guy wears what color? What color is angel food cake? What color is devil food cake? Come on, the wicked witch wears what color? Practices what magic? The fairy godmother wears what color? Practices what magic? You see the spell you under? You cast a spell, made you the devil. So when you raising up God, that dude you look at, that sister you look at in the mirror, that's why you keep cutting off your nose, cutting off your lips, processing that hair and bleaching that skin. You hate that monster. 20 years ago, I did a lecture on psychological structure in the black civilization, and I called Michael Jackson the #1 promoter of black-on-black violence. The #1 promoter of black-on-black violence. Nigga, you crazy. Michael Jackson ain't hurt nobody. Yes, he did. Michael Jackson destroyed his own ass. He worked hard at killing the devil. I showed a picture of Mike, the way he was born, and after his resurrection as a white boy, when he left the planet, he didn't have a nose. And what you don't understand, when you in that world, it's 1,000 notches up, because that's all they do is teach you to hate yourself. You name me a black entertainer who ain't went to Hollywood and immediately got a check and started cutting off their nose, bleaching their skin, and frying their hair. Or they simply just dress you up and make you look like what your mama didn't produce. The 5 kings in the Bible. In Kemet, they call the God of the 5 senses. Sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. But Jacob, to enter the kingdom, he had to kill the 5 kings. What did they run? They ran and hid their ass in the cave. Did y'all hear me say I got rid of the TV, the radio? Because I had to kill these fuckers. I had to shut them down. Best thing you could do to help yourself kill the 5 kings, learn to fast. Learn to fast. I thought I could never do a 40-day fast. But when you messing with the hot tea, shit, you gonna either make it happen or you gonna get on up the road. Hey, he don't deal with punks and sissies, I'm sorry. Don't take it personal. Because it's about work. This ain't a job for faint-hearted people. And by the way, let me just make a correction. You know how we all was taught to go to church to worship, right? If you decide to do some etymology and trace that word back, worship, it was work-ship. We didn't do no worshiping. It was work-ship. The greatest work you're going to ever find is trying to recapture your own mind before it got tainted, soiled, spoiled, and contaminated. And don't fool yourself. For the last 20 years, I've heard these idiots talk about, well, I can do what you do with the mushroom by deep breathing. I can do what you do with the mushroom by meditating, by yoga. Pardon my English. Bullshit. See, we got these, what I like to call them, these bookstore scholars who go and read a couple of books, go sit in the park, do some yoga meditation, and try to convince themselves that what this man been doing for the last 40 years, they've done that. No, they haven't. For those of you who have experienced psilocybin, there ain't no freaking substitute. There ain't no substitute. And it ain't child's play. Because when I start grinding my shroom up and putting it in the kombucha, sometimes it would be in there for 2 weeks because I forget about it. I go pick it up. Wait a minute, I gotta go do such and such tomorrow. I can't do this right now. And then I'm walking through the bathroom and, you punk. What? Let me get this. Because I can't chew that, I have to swallow it. So I had 32 ounces of kombucha with 22 grams. And oh my God, I was just telling the brothers upstairs, just before the dawn, I finally stopped freaking throwing up. And the last dry heave, a dark cloud came out of my throat, stood there, started sparkling, dropped in the damn bucket, popped out the bucket, and hit the window. What the Clindy got me all fucked up. He ain't right. But he ain't wrong, goddammit. That was your 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Let me back up right quick. This is how they give it to you. Y'all know about the 5 loaves and 2 fishes that Jesus fed the masses, right? Sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell, your physical senses. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, your physical, your spiritual eyesight. It's all science, but it's wrapped up in allegory to keep you enslaved in your own mind with these beliefs. Your soul has been on ice for quite a while. Go ahead, we got to speed this up. All I'm doing is hitting your psyche, your zodiac, the sun disk, I'd sure love to tell y'all about the story of being washed in the blood of the Lamb, y'all, because it was deep. I actually ended up, Moody was up here talking about Kalindi and how he plays it by ear. But when you done what he's done, when you've journeyed how he has journeyed, you reach a level of synchronicity. And you don't worry about a damn thing. You know what you know, what you know. I'd been in Senegal for 2 years. I went to I don't know how many villages. I had at least 24 rituals done for me by different imams and marabouts. But this particular time I'm headed to the Gambia to visit with some partners of mine who used to be educated here at Wayne State. Went back there, was the Minister of Agriculture, and had a couple of 100 acres of land he was going to make sure I could get for real cheap. Meanwhile, the car breaks down in Casamance. Have not a clue what day, what time. But anyway, we walking through the village trying to see if we can find a phone or somewhere to get some transportation to keep on our journey. And the elder grabs my hand and looks at open my hand. I'm like, oh, what the? My translator was telling me what's going on. He said, he's reading you. He said, they need to know who you are. 3 more elders came and they looked at me and they read me. The guy grabbed my head. I'm like, oh, back up, what y'all doing? So the translator said, listen, they want you to go to the market with the brothers, get the sheep, a sacrifice needs to be done. What? Yeah, they need you to go to the market with the brothers, get a sheep. Okay, stop acting a fool. Do what these elders tell you. So we go to the market in front of all the livestock, standing there. A ram steps out of the herd and look at it. And I said, what, you the one I'm here to get? That boy put his head to my thigh twice, and the brothers freaked out. So we hurried back to the village. They done did the rituals, the prayer, and they give me the knife and tell me to cut this poor lamb's neck. And I'm like, hell to the no. No, sir, I can't do that. I say, listen, all my lamb has always been already cooked. I ain't never had to kill shit. This ain't gonna work. I done killed a few bugs, but I ain't really killed nothing live like this. I can't do it. So they do a prayer. I give the brother, the elder, the knife. He does it on my behalf, tells me to hold the legs, and I'm holding the legs, and they slicing the throat. We done dug a hole now in the dirt, and they slicing it, and the blood is letting off into the hole, and I'm like, holy shit, and the poor thing is shitting all on my hand, and I'm trying to hold the legs, and I'm being a real punk at this time. So they pull the sheep aside, and the elder is telling me to wash and wool off, and I'm like, what? Wash. Wash what? Wash. Oh my God. And I stick my hand in the blood and I'm washing my hands and face like, what the fuck am I doing? And bing, hands popped. And that whole piece of being washed in the blood of the Lamb. It's like, God damn. And then I asked Ali, I said, Ali, what time is it? What day is it? He said, dude, it's April the 8th. What? I leave Senegal, going to the Gambia, car breaks down on my birthday, and they're sacrificing a lamb on my birthday. Aries. Ain't no accidents in the universe. When they got something for you, they got something for you. Now I'm gonna back up and tell you how I got my first trip. Because it's a lovely story. I don't know if voodoo is here, but a few years ago, more than 15 years now, a hottie called me up. He said, you in town? I said, yeah, I just got back yesterday. They said, damn, the only person travel more than me is you. Well, sometimes, but I don't like being here for the most part. But anyway, he said, come by, I got some fruit for you. You got some fruit for me? Because I'm never still enough to grow and manage, because I do a lot of lecturing, I do a lot of traveling. So he said, yeah, come by, I got some fruit for you. But I found out later on why I got the fruit, because of high tea ain't gave nobody no fruit. You grew. If you had some, you grew it. So long story short, I come by, pick it up, get to the house 2 days later, to talk about the journey. And everybody want to know where I got mushrooms, because they know I ain't growing none. So all the wives is there, everybody's there, and I'm talking about the experience. And Sister Jenda said, well, Omari, where you get your shroom? I said, a hati. A who? A hati. Oh, no, he didn't. When I tell you it was a riot, like, okay, calm down, mind your business. But the story came out that Brother Ocean Trari had traveled, came back, called Kalindi, said, Kalindi, the ancestor said, give Omari some shroom because he need to get over here. 2 weeks later, Mudu calls Kalindi, ancestor said, give O some shroom, they need him over here. That's how I got my first trip from Kalindi. But when you understand that this thing is, see, Kalindi trying to tell you, you are bigger than what you've been told you are. And there are powers and forces working, just like some are working against you, there's some working for you. But you have to prepare yourself, and you have to open up yourself to receive what they're trying to give you. That's why most of y'all are here. Don't be fooled. There's no accidents in the universe. But when I tell you I have not planned, 90% of the things that I have experienced were never planned. That's the mistake you make trying to control shit. You don't control, you learn to move with the universe. You move with the right forces and you find. But these brothers traveled over and were instructed to tell Kalindi to give me some shroom. And there was an uproar in the house because he'd never done that. So that was where our relationship began from the spiritual side. Because most of y'all are familiar with your family that you were born here with, your biological family. But you forget that you were born of a spirit. And some of y'all came from that same cloth. And from that point on, our relationship was like Jesus and John the Baptist. Because everywhere I went and lectured, I said, listen, I'm not the one y'all want to hear. Get this man here ASAP. And that's how it was. And somebody said, oh, so y'all been in Chicago. It was like, so, oh, y'all Jesus and John the Baptist. I said, call it what you want. I'm just trying to make sure y'all get what you need. Because I know what I went through to get here, to get to this. And one of the greatest minds you will ever have the opportunity, I promise you, when it was all said and done, all those who mocked him, all those who scorned him, end up praising him. From the martial arts to the mushroom, they all bow down at this man's feet. Oh, that African shit, that's bullshit, is it? But this man pulled out shit most scholars ain't seen in Kemet. Showing you all the martial arts long before China had them. And then all those mushroom masters bowed down and was at his feet learning from him. Understand how it worked. This man been working hard. And I'm going to tell you something. When y'all put these titles talking about you're a master, let me tell you what. Over here, you were selected at age 7. And if you was fortunate, your graduation was at age 47. So stop running around here talking about you a master of something. If you ain't been at a craft for 40 plus years, you're fooling yourself and everybody else. This shit don't happen overnight. It takes 40 years for a reason. Baby boy told me yesterday, he said, listen, Baba told me there's stuff I can't get till I'm 40. So you take 20, you go see him. You get what you need. It ain't nothing lost. Because I had a conversation with Kalindi. We had a chance to do a lot of travel. I said, man, you ever think about the fact that this ghetto boy from Detroit, nobody taught you this. You wasn't exposed to this. You wasn't nobody around. But somehow you got led to this, got exposed to it. And now you all over the world teaching this science. It's not an accident. It's not happenstance. Because the ancestors can reach back 30,000 and tag you and say, you it's your turn. take it forward. That's how it works. Nobody in my house was teaching this. They was pouring Bible juice down my throat by the freaking gallons because I kept spitting it up. I kept spitting it up. It's not right. Why are you such a rebel? Well, I'm just not feeling it. Go ahead, bro. Move it forward. Oh, we worship the sun. Well, go look at a couple of these books and understand why. We didn't worship anything. We understood our relationship to the sun because we're solar beings. So when you want to recharge, and let me help y'all understand something, because some of y'all don't know where you're at right now. This time now that you're in, everything is speeding up. Everything is speeding up. There's a little piece on YouTube called The Secret of Secrets about the sun and what's happening with the sun. The sun is going into a mutative stage. The sun is speeding up. It's burning faster. Everything in the cosmos that the sun touches is doing the exact same thing. I'm a little ahead of this. Go ahead and move the slides forward. But everything is speeding up because this big ball in the sky is taking us into a new house, a new zodiac. Move forward. All of this is just symbolism to get you to understand the connection here and what you're dealing with. But this is the clock of destiny. Here's the way it worked. When these scholars are trying to tell you Egypt existed 2,000 years, they have, and don't let me forget South America, same clock. But each clock represented 2,015 plus years. They telling you Kemet only been around for 6,000 years. Well, the records show that they recorded the great year 4 times. The great year is how many years? 26,000 years. 26,000 years is a complete cycle of the zodiac. Each zodiac 2,000 plus years. See, what you need to be studying, the clock you need to be paying attention to is this one. But they ain't gonna ever teach your babies this. If you start teaching your babies this, and I'm not talking about that play school astrology. I'm talking about the science. The same science of navigation, because this is the science. The first thing that they took from you was this here. How to read the stars. How to understand where you are. This point in time where you are right now, the sun is mutating. Do you know what house you're in right now? They tell you in the Bible, it's the coming of Christ. The sun is causing your very cells to mutate. You're going from a carbon 12 to a carbon 7. That's called Christ consciousness. That's why they're bombarding you with everything they're bombarding you with. You are vibrating to a higher frequency. If you never touch this room, you're going one or two places. You're going up or you're going out. This is carbon. The number one science that's evolving at the same time that you are is what? Carbon. Carbon is now the number one technology on this planet. Everything that they're producing is being produced from carbon. They even discovered carbon-60. Yeah. Carbon-60, look it up. Can improve your life by 90%. More powerful than any oxidant you know. They were telling you this is melanin. It's carbon. And you are mutating, vibrating back to a higher frequency. Your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your ability to commune, to understand, to know without anybody telling you anything. Your dream states, all of these things are accelerating right now. And all of this stuff they're throwing at you is trying to slow you down. That's all they're doing. Because we don't know what time it is. We don't know what energy we're in. You need less sleep. You're not as tired as you walk. 3 to 4 hours, that's it. Get up, get going, start working. This is because the sun is changing everything. All the frequencies are elevating. You're becoming super beings, as some of you like to call it. It's just your Christ consciousness, what they call the return of Christ, of Jesus. No, no, no. This is the energy of you being, your psychic abilities are now being brought back to where you used to be. That's all it is. We done went full circle. This has to happen. This is 26,000. This is at least 2 cycles before we get back to where the sun is. Next slide. I'm going to start moving through this because all we're doing is getting you to understand that all that stuff they talk in the Bible is nothing but science, wrapped up in allegory and mythology. The very science that Ahati has been teaching us for the last 40 plus years. Keep moving. And all we're doing is showing you the OPEC Festival of Kemet and the Ark of the Covenant, which was the Ark of Amun-Ra. It was when we were at a new zodiac and you took the ark, which is representative of the sun god, and you took it from the temple of Waset to the temple of Waret. Every new house, this celebration happened. Not every year, every new house. So when we went from Aries to Leo or whatever, we moved the sacred ark of Amun from the temple of Waset to the temple of Waret, or back, initiating the new house. And at that point in time, a temple was built in response to the zodiac. Another interesting thing, during the time of Aries, during the time of the ram, only Aries were on the throne. During the time of Pisces, only Pisces were on the throne. They kept it in harmony with nature. The one to rule is the one who's influenced by that house. 12 cycles, 2,000 plus years. And they telling you 6,000. I'm telling you they've been lying to you. Go ahead, move it forward. Just more association. Let me back it up right quick. I just want to talk about two things. When you need to understand about Budge in the Book of the Dead, Budge was a Mason. Budge was told to create the narrative. 90% of what Budge taught was all error. But here's one of the reasons why he disrupted the name. The name of Aset, it's Kar Aset. Kar Aset, that is her name. But most of us know her as Aset. The reason they intentionally left the Kar, because if you do a little investigation and you pay attention to the actual term Christ, you get into the etymology of Christ, you're coming back to the name of Kar Aset. Everything they done wrapped up and given to a man belongs to a woman. Now let's get down here to Muhammad. If you do the etymology with Muhammad's name, Mahomet, Sekhmet, Bas as Mao. Y'all saw Catwoman, right? And this is why you were called Mohammedans or Moors, because you were the children of the cat mother. And guess who never had a consort? Neither Bas or Sekhmet ever had a consort. Now this is her in her loving stage, in her nurturing stage. This is when she's getting ready to whoop ass. This is the warrior phase here. So depending on how you make her feel, you're gonna get love and nurture, or you're gonna get your ass whooped. But Muhammad's name is the name Mahomet, the name of the goddess. Everything goes back. All roads leads to what? Not Rome, Kemet. All roads, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they all lead back to Kemet. They don't want you to know it, but they do. Mary Magdalene. Mary and Mary Magdalene is none other than Isis and Aset. Old story rewritten, retold. And you see this fool with his foot on the very statue of the goddess Kar, because he's destroying the worship of the goddess and bringing in a masculine, because if you look at the name Allah, Allah evolved from Alat or Alatu. It means milk-giving mother. They dropped the T and put the H, Allah, as opposed to Alat. All of it. In the Bible, they call her what? Yahweh. We call them Yahweh today. But it was Yah milk. Look it up. Go ahead, move it forward. Move it forward. I know y'all tired, just hang in there with me. Interesting thing I understood a long time ago is that everybody in the Bible who became a famous character all had to go someplace first. Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Jesus. Everybody was nobody until they went where? To get their initiation. That's some true. Moving forward. Now, here's where I need to disrupt y'all a bit. I need you to understand that this is this, this is that. And what is that? Over here, we're simply dealing with Jacob's ladder, where the angels run to and from heaven. The angels on Jacob's ladder run to and from heaven, but Jacob's ladder is the DJEDHI pillar. They have you thinking that Jesus is carrying a cross on his back, but in actuality, he's raising the DJEDHI pillar. This symbol here is representative of this symbol here, because your initiation is about raising the DJEDHI pillar. The DJEDHI pillar. Next. Again, the caduceus. The caduceus in the Bible, because Moses was told to raise the staff with a what? A fiery serpent. Raise the staff with a fiery serpent. Next slide. And here we go again. The DJEDHI pillar, the DJEDHI pillar, the DJEDHI pillar, the spinal column, the DJEDHI pillar, the spinal column, the vault of heaven, 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 the caduceus, brain, the spinal cord. When you unfurl the medulla, you have wings. This is the symbol of power. This is the symbol of power. Here's the wings in the back of the brain when you unfurl them. Somebody kept telling you that these were gods. There are no gods here. These are aspects of you, aspects of your physical and your spiritual nature. I keep telling you there's no gods. You looking for yourself, and you come to the right place. Next slide. We got to run through this. Again, just where I'm looking for a particular piece right here. This is the so-called Trinity. Isis, Horus, Osiris. But if you get to, everything's a little smaller now. Isis, the pituitary gland, and Osiris, the hypothalamus. Everybody hollers about it's the pioneer of the third rise of kingdom into heaven. Not so. They call it in the dictionary, when you look at it, they call the third eye the seat of the soul. That's actually incorrect. The seat of the soul is Isis, and her child sits upon her lap. The seat is Isis, the soul is Horus. So if you say the seat of the soul, you're speaking of the pituitary gland, which is the master gland in the body. The body can function without a lot of glands, but if you mess with that one, it's a done deal. That's the one that represents Isis. And as the Bible talks about the book of Revelations and the 7 seals and all that shit that's going to happen in the 7 seals and the destruction, the 7 is behind your 7 glands. And you have 2 above there, which makes up 9. Moving forward. I'm just trying to give you a little bit. Because a lot of people talk about Kemet and symbolism, but they never pay attention because they keep calling this stuff gods. Now, we showed you earlier the vault of heaven, but these are 2 called the symbols of power for the man. These 2 here, you see this here, you see the falcon claw here holding the ball? That's your testicles. Here's the falcon's claw. Here's Jesus between the 2 thieves hanging on the cross. When the sun hits your body, Your photovoltaic cells here absorb those gamma, beta, theta rays, puts them up here. This drops them down from the pituitary to the pineal. The pineal rays end up coming out as photovoltaic cells, going back here and start the cycle all over again. But this is what's going on. And this is why they keep telling you to stay your happy ass out the sun. Because we need to lower your vitamin D so we can lower your frequency and not have you keep shooting out 500 million cells and loading up the planet, as they say. All this again, this horse symbol is simply, this is your pineal, this is the vault of heaven dropping all the way down. And that's why in the book of Coming Forth, if I got it here, I guess it's not here, but it says the serpent rises to heaven in the talons of the hawk. The serpent rises, where's she at? To heaven in the talons of the hawk. Because the sun rays that comes through the third eye brings itself down here and makes this serpent rise to heaven. The talons of the hawk. The talons of the hawk. The talons of the hawk is how the serpent gets to heaven. Next slide. The 9 gods, the 8, the 9 gods of Egypt. Don't lie. There are 7 in the body, and I told you the 2 fishes, they reside above the body. I didn't get a chance to move that. But all of these so-called gods of Kemet are aspects of they call it the 9 souls of man. The 9 elements of the soul. There is no gods in Kemet. They wasn't worshiping anybody. They were working. They were working to evolve themselves back to whence they came. One of my favorite sayings was, if you take a cup and you stick it in the ocean, what's the difference between the water in the cup and the water in the ocean? Anybody? Not a rhetorical question, just a question. What's the difference between the water in the cup and the water in the ocean? It's more in the ocean. When the sun hits the ocean and the water evaporates, goes up as a mist, lands up in a cloud, condenses, come back down and hit the ocean, you know what happens? That raindrop rediscovers its own magnitude because it left its body and separated as a drop, went on up into the clouds, messed around as a being, and at one point in time rediscovered itself when it dropped back into the ocean. When you take that hero's dose, you're that raindrop dropping back into the ocean. You're only discovering the magnitude of who and what you are. God, look in the freaking mirror. You ain't gonna find him or her nowhere else. But you're gonna expand your consciousness if you push the envelope. What did Hati say? I'm pushing the envelope. I'm pushing the envelope. He pushed the envelope. And he's back at the source of who and what he is. Now, let me tell y'all something. I heard for a long time. When I tell you I sat in the fucking closet, in the corner, because I talked to him on my birthday, and 2 days after my birthday, they called me and told me my brother had made an ascension. I'm like, bullshit. No, not even possible. But then I had to think about it. And my best narrative was Star Wars. Obi-Wan is battling with Darth Vader. Luke is in the back looking on. Obi-Wan comes to realization, look, I done laid the foundation, but I got to get this boy to get the fuck out of his own way. Because he wants me to hold his hand. I got to get out of his way. So at the point in time, Darth Vader swung that lightsaber. Did he kill Obi-Wan? Or did Obi-Wan ascend? What did Obi-Wan do? He ascended, didn't he? And then he did what? He directed Luke from where? From the other side. Luke, take your ass over here. go get that shroom and learn how to lift them rocks and get down with it. He laid the cornerstone. He laid the cornerstone. That's the job of the Grand Master. Only one can lay the cornerstone, a Grand Master. He laid the cornerstone. Now we're the Luke whose job it is to push it forward, to finish the building. But hold on, y'all missed something yesterday. Because Clinty said, I got to go what? I got to go there and do what? Did y'all remember what he said? Clinty went there to what? Build a house, repair the house. Oh, he went to prepare a place. Y'all ain't paying attention. He went to prepare the house for your happy asses. He went to prepare, what they say in my father's house are what? Oh, and I'm only going to do what? Prepare a place for you. He knew what was coming. Don't y'all start that. Gonna be a fight. He went to prepare a place because he knew what was coming. Some of y'all think other people expose him. When you pushing 20 grams plus, you already know what's getting ready to happen. This man was telling us 20 years ago that this shit was coming. He was telling us 20 years ago that this was coming. Push this forward, bro. I just want to get to one point. They told me I got 5. All this again is just the Bible telling you about nothing but Kemet. I learned after my 3rd or 4th trip that I don't need to talk to people about Kemet. I just pulled this shit right out of the Bible. And they couldn't argue it from that point. Because there's a pillar and a what? An altar unto God in the midst of Egypt. Go ahead. I don't need the Book of the Dead. The Bible works just fine. Go ahead. I got to push through. These are the papyruses that has been released to the public about the fact that this whole Jedi thing that y'all give to our boy. Do y'all know who his #1 teacher was? I'm talking about Lucas. Do y'all know who his master was as far as this Jedi science that he gave to you as a movie? Look him up. His name is Campbell. He's the master on mythology and the ancient science that you call religion. Because this is not made up. If you get into the Bible, you will understand that Jedediah is where they mention the Jedi. Moving forward. But it is the papyrus that has come out because they're now telling you about the ancient magi who were initiated as Jedi, raising the Djed pillar. The Star Wars shit is very real. It is the ancient science of Jedi initiation. I don't have time to read through all this. I'm going to just move forward. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to stop. Go ahead again. Now, the initiation into the order of the Jedi serpents. Once you were recognized as a candidate, you went to one of the temples and you trained. Again. When you were selected as a kid at age 7, you didn't graduate till 47. But you were brought here, you were given the soma, a combination of psilocybin and monoatomic, because the monoatomic turns on the junk DNA, aka the God gene, turn on the light body. The thing about the monoatomic, it takes you further. It allows you, as when you discover yourself as an immortal being, there's technology that will allow you to turn the actual physical body into an immortal machine. To go 3,000 to 4,000 years. All of this is in papyruses. There's a whole lot of stuff that y'all don't know about. But these folks at a certain point could dematerialize, rematerialize, travel to other planets, other souls. There are tons of stargates around here. We didn't need spaceships. This is a spaceship when you know how to use it. Y'all call it a Merkaba. Next slide. But you were taken into the temple. You were given the soma. The high priest did the ritual and announced you to be dead. After that, the activation began. The soul ascends up out of the body. You are gone for 3 days. The soul comes out in the pyramid and you have two stargates, one to Draconis, one to Sirius. Well, dragons have chased me all of my life as a kid. And that's why I ended up in Draconis. Your souls evolve from one or two spots, here or there, Draconis and Sirius. We're going to get through that in the next slide. But the whole initiation process, you were given the soma, the mushroom, and the monoatomic. You were placed in the coffin for 3 days. The body comes out, the soul leaves the physical body and goes to Orion, to Sirius, or to Alpha Draconis. You come back on the 3rd day. The priest does the initiation. Next slide. And you are resurrected as a Jedi Knight. But here is where the activation takes place. The Kundalini is down here in the base chakra, in the coccyx. The psilocybin wakes her up. She shoots through, out of the body, and into the cosmos. Next slide. He was buried, ascended, and resurrected. It's hard to believe that this story, this dude who has captivated the minds of half the fucking planet, that his story is in actuality the Jedi initiation of ancient Kemet. Because you have been rooted in this Kool-Aid, in this drink, and it is a part of who you are. It ripples through your blood and your DNA. But his 3 days of being buried, ascending, and resurrected was the Jedi initiation process, y'all. Did y'all hear me? That's all it was. But they had to give it to you so they could capture your soul and put it on ice. So you think all this shit is real. It's a science. It's the science of getting separating the soul from the physical body to know that you are more than what you've been taught. You're not a physical body. This is the spacesuit to experience this world. This is that raindrop hanging out in that cloud right now. Next slide. He was buried, ascended, and resurrected. A Jedi Knight. Y'all call him Jesus. Go ahead. Buried, ascended, and resurrected as a Jedi Knight. That's your story. That's what they told you. And the whole purpose is because Osiris wants to be unmummified. He wants to be set free. This mummification, do y'all know what this symbolizes? Anybody? The mummification of Osiris. What's the symbolism behind that? That is your soul in its existence inside the physical body. The mummification represents the soul incarcerated in the physical body. So the initiation process, because you believed that you were human and you thought that you could die, we start initiating you, feeding you the monoatomic and the mushroom so that you could break free from this physical body and free the soul and let it sojourn back home. And after 3 days, you came back. I have had many a conversation with a Hati about actually creating a subterranean chamber, or let's just dig a grave, maybe 6 to 8 feet down, and set it up and we go down in there, because if you really want to do this, you really got to go the way that they did. And I hear all y'all talking about crystals. Y'all do know that the pyramid, the granite stone, was quartz crystal, right? All the pyramids, granite stone, quartz crystal. That entire pyramid structure is quartz crystal, because that is the best activation spot, medium, to leave and go out and come back and re-enter the body and come back to this realm. So you were taught how to die while you were amongst the living. See, they said we were fascinated with death. No, we were fascinated with life. Life beyond death, because there is no death. So you had the ability to die, leave the body, and come back. Because that's what you do every time you take the shroom. You die, the body is laid to rest, you leave. And I'm trying to get to the point where I can actually be there for 3 days and then come back. But next slide. I think this is where we're gonna end it up at, y'all. I thank y'all for the time. It's always a pleasure and honor. And I hope this information helped you guys. Thank you. Thank you.